This is kind of an introduction to social media. We will talk about some of the different social media sites that are available and programs that are available, like the Facebooks and Twitters and all that. But we're not talking about how to use them or where the buttons are or signing up or anything. We're not deep diving into that. Really, what we're here to talk about more of a strategy of using social media for presenting or promoting, well, really just about anything. But in this case, it's specific to you being an author and trying to get your works and publications found. Okay, so good. So welcome. Glad that you're able to join us this evening to the social media strategy for authors. And so by way of introduction, I just have this first slide that's just about me. And so my name is David Schuckman. I'm local in the Princeton area. I'm an IT consultant. I have my own small business, which I've had since 2014. It's called Princeton Technology Advisors. And the types of things that we do, I do training, tech training, technology advisory. My clients tend to be small businesses and not-for-profit organizations. I do website and support and maintenance. I don't build websites any longer, but I do help clients support their existing, and then some other sort of technology projects as well. And I wouldn't say I'm a writer quite the way maybe you are, but I do have a blog available on my website as well. I have just over 100 blog posts, and they are all technology topics, but they're written for the layperson. They're not written to technical people. So if you would consider yourself informed but not very tech savvy, you may find some of the topics of interest, and you're welcome to go click through any of those. So let's kind of define social media. And a while ago, I was looking for definitions that I thought I can share. And I found this one, and I liked it a lot, so I'm sharing it with you here, which is social media is the collective of online communication channels. We're going to come back to that term. That's why it's underlined. Dedicated to community-based input, interaction, content sharing, and collaboration. And when I saw that, I had read this a few times, and I really liked this as a definition of social media. But the one thing that started happening was I was scratching my head, and I was thinking, well, it's a little complicated, especially if you are not very familiar with social media. And I kind of boiled it down to this. Using the internet to share information among people. That's all social media is meant to do. You may have a message that you want to get out, and there are people that want to consume those messages. You may have information you want to provide, and there are people that want to consume that. So it's using the internet to share information. And that's really all social media is. Now, there's lots of tools and programs and apps and such that are out there, but that's the basic of what it is. This is a strategy that I subscribe to. It's called the Spoke and Hub strategy. And the Spoke and Hub basically is the hub of your social media strategy is your website. And these spokes go to other social media type programs. Now, not all of these may apply to you, and that's fine, but the concept is the same. The reason why is on any other social media platform other than being online on your website, the information tends to be very specific. You might write one post on Facebook. You might write one post in a blog. You might send an email about one thing that of interest, but your website can talk all about you, can talk all about your interests and the about me's and ways to contact. So it's much more robust. And so what you use is the website as your hub, the center of like a bicycle wheel or a car wheel. And you have these spokes that go outside to these other things, and they go back and forth. So your website can do some email marketing, and then from the email, you may want to send someone back to your website. Your social media sites, send them back to your website, or publish on your website that you have social media. And so that's what that is meant to symbolize. But always, in my opinion, and I agree with this format, the Spoken Hub, the website is the hub of your online strategy. So why is being online so important? Well, your readers expect you to be there. At the very least, people, your audience, the people you're trying to reach, are looking for content providers like you. And when they look online, they expect to find information relevant to what their interests are. So you need to be there. People are searching for products and information online all the time. And you know this to be true because you're searching for products and information online sometimes as well. And when you have a professional website, a professional looking social media site or page on some of these other sites that we'll cover in a moment, it really kind of gives your brand, who you are, credibility. And so, imagine the case even that, um, I don't know, you needed to interview a plumber because you needed a toilet replaced or something basic like that. And you asked the plumber, may I have your business card? And they said, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have a business card. You would think that's very odd. Everyone has a business card. And so that would be kind of against the brand. And so being online also gives your brand credibility. Also, especially in your website, but anywhere you post, you get to demonstrate interests, your knowledge, where and how you're an expert. So that all becomes important as well. So you get to demonstrate this even when you're not having the opportunity to speak with anyone one-on-one. And if you're not yet known and people are searching for the topic that you're posting about, this is where people can begin to find out about you. They may not have heard about you before, but they'll stumble across you, maybe through a Google search or maybe through some of the social media sites when they come across you, and they read more and they gain interest, but they hadn't heard about you before. The bottom line is, if you're not found online, you're irrelevant. And I don't mean that as an insult. I'm not saying you're irrelevant. What the heck are you doing here? That's not what I mean at all. But if somebody is searching based on some keywords in a Google search or on other social media sites for the topic that you're trying to present, the information you're trying to make available, and you don't come up in their search results, they're not going to contact you. They're not going to read your material. They're not going to buy your books. So you're functionally irrelevant. So you really do need to be online and have some online and social media presence. Now, in order to benefit from using social media, what you really need to do is have a strategy, and you have to have goals. You have to understand and make sure you can accomplish what you're trying to achieve. Without goals, and of course, goals should not be vague, they should be as specific as possible. It's hard to build a strategy that will allow social media to help you meet those goals. So it's very important that you do have a social media strategy and that it takes into account really what you're trying to gain and achieve from using social media. And your social media strategy is going to be iterative. And this is kind of a nice diagram for that. You set some goals, you figure out who your audience is going to be, because whatever you're writing about is not going to be something that everybody is going to want to read. It's nothing personal. It's just everybody has different tastes, just like there's things you really appreciate and some topics maybe you don't. And then once you choose the audience, you know what type of audience. It could be by age group and demographic, it could be by geography. You have to figure that out. You have to identify the programs or the platforms where you'll begin to promote. And not everybody is on every platform. And there are some of these social media sites and platforms that specialize. And you're going to have to find those. We can't talk about every social media site that's out there, and especially the ones that are very specific. You create some content, you publish it, and then you start seeing the progress. Are you getting views? Are you getting hits? Are you getting comments? Right? These are all ways to tell that you're getting some traction. And depending on what that measurement is, you may make some adjustments. You'll make new goals. So it's iterative. At some point, you'll stop. You may go around this a few times until you're really satisfied with the results you're getting. So this is usually, I like taking this approach on a platform by platform basis. You might try using an Amazon platform. You might try using Facebook. So, and then you do this iterative process again and again. But this is important for social media. Yeah.
David, what Amazon platform are you talking about?
We'll get to that.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. No worries. Yeah. Yeah. If I know that there's information a few slides from where we are, I'll just ask you like this. Let's just wait a few minutes. Or if I don't think it's here or needs clarity because of your question, I'll happily answer it immediately.
Okay.
Good. So in terms of setting goals, you need to know your audience. Who do you want to engage with? That's what becomes important. Your audience may be of a certain age demographic. They may be a geography demographic, maybe men versus women. I mean, whatever you're writing about, you need to understand who your audience is. And if your audience really is going to be women who are 50 plus, and you start promoting it to teenage kids, you probably won't have good results. So you need to know who your audience is. We'll be talking more about that as well. And you also need to think about what type of content you'll post and where that will be. So will it be blogs? Will it be Facebook or social media posts? Will it be content in your website? There's lots of places. Will it be other social media sites? And where and how often? So which sites is it going to be? Will you do it daily, weekly, monthly? Everybody is different. You need, again, to know the tolerance of your audience. Some audiences will be very happy getting a lot of content, some less so. You can't please everybody, so don't try to, but you'll want to make sure that you're communicating to the people that will be most interested in what you're trying to promote and advertise. Also, be aware of how to use the different social media platforms that are out there. Now, that doesn't happen all at once. If there are programs and platforms or social media websites that you're not yet familiar with, but you know that your audience uses them, it may take you a little while to get used to them. But each one gets used a little bit differently. They all have kind of similar post buttons and reach the audience, but you'll have to know how that works so you can use it effectively. Once you get good and comfortable using one, you can move on to a second one and then a third one after that. And then think about what do you want to happen as a result of your activity. And don't make that a really kind of vague sort of expectation. I want to sell 1 million copies of my book. Well, not that that would not be good, but maybe your goal should be a bit more granular. You want to be able to find the best way to reach a certain audience. I want to know how to increase views on my blog posts, something a bit more granular. As you take care of these smaller goals and requirements that you're trying and accomplishments, the longer term, the bigger goals begin to fall in place. And also big goals are hard to measure. I want to be successful. Well, that's hard to measure. But I want to have 100 followers by the end of the year. That may be very manageable and realistic and something you can easily see. So your audience, who is your audience? And so I was using the word audience just a couple of minutes ago. So your audience, essentially, it's who you want to reach with social media. And again, it's not likely that it's going to be everybody. You need to understand how to communicate with your audience. You need to understand what's important to them. Just because you have information to share doesn't mean that they will be receptive to it if you're communicating in a way that is not conducive to them. A very silly example would be you're publishing in French to an American audience. That might be a hard lift to accomplish because a lot of Americans may not speak French. So I'm using a little bit of an analogy that may not be directly important or relevant, but I wanted to give you a bit of an analogy to make sure you understand. One friend of mine talks about it this way. You go to an auto store to buy a car, and you said, I want to buy a red car, but the salesman wants to sell you a blue car. You're probably not going to buy a blue car, and the salesman's not going to make a sale. You got to understand what's important to your audience. If your audience tends to be kind of consumer based or retail based or a layperson, in other words, if they're not really in your industry or very involved, or your topic is not very ingrained in them, then use layperson type terms, something to kind of introduce the topic, to talk about it at a higher level. So, one good example, of course, is technology. Now, I'm a technologist. If I wanted to, I can talk and use all the acronyms that I know. And if you're not comfortable with it, it may be confusing. But if I talk with you more like a layperson of how to use technology, you might begin to understand it a little bit faster. And the same will be with what you're trying to promote. Of course, if your audience is savvy with your industry or your topic or the information that you're presenting, then they're going to expect you to use the terms within that industry, within that topic area, because it will show your expertise. Again, the layperson may just be overwhelmed by these industry or technical terms, but the people who are close to the industry that you're in or the topic area you're promoting, they're going to expect it. So make sure you understand that as well. So who is the author's audience? Well, there could be different sectors, different types of audience. And so there's this article that I had read about this gentleman who's the New York Times author. Let me just get this guy. There it goes. Kevin Cruz. And so I saw this article and I thought this was very good to share in this program as well. So your audience may be what we call your personal reader network. Your fans, your friends, your family, clients, people that are close to you, people that you know. That's your personal reader network. They may be your audience. You may be happy to reach out to your immediate professional and personal network of friends and family to promote to them. They may be your audience. Now, often what happens is that audience of people is fairly finite. Not that it's tiny, but if you're hoping to have a wider publication quantity, sell more books, be seen and heard by more people, you may have to go beyond just your fans and friends and family. Of course, if you have a lot of fans, then that's easy. So the next would be the bookstore browser. So if you're able to get your writing, your book or books onto a bookshelf, these people, you don't know them, but if they're looking in the area where your book is on the stack, they're part of your audience as well, or another type of audience. So you may want to make sure that your book and your writing can be somewhere where browsers, people looking for content, can find it. And that's what some of the social media websites can be helpful for as well. And who else would be? People who buy for others. They are, I thought of professors, executives, friends buying for other people. Do you have a topic that other people would be able to share with others? I have a book or two in my own bookshelf. I remember when one company I worked for a number of years ago, one of the senior managers a couple times bought us books that he liked about process and growth and process improvement, and encouraged us to read them. It wasn't a requirement, but there he went out and bought a couple of dozen books at a time for people in the company. And there's also what's called the retail buyer, and they're not the people that go to the bookstore, but they're the people that stock the shelves, who buy the books for the bookstore. They decide what will be in the bookstore's inventory. So you have to think about, maybe you can promote and publish in places where retail buyers hang out. I don't know where all these different types of people hang out. You'll have to find out for yourself, your specific audience. And then if you get a little bit of traction, the media. If you can get a little bit of traction in the media, it would be really fascinating. What do they think about your book and your writing? Will they discuss it? Like Oprah, of course, has her book club, and a lot of people follow her. But there are a lot of people who write in the media about books as well. New York Times bestsellers list and things like that. So you have to try and get the attention of some of these different groups of people, because in a high level, these are your different types of audience. So thanks to Kevin Cruz for putting this list out there that I found. So social media, when you think of it, what should it be about? And you may think, I want to sell more books. I want to be found. I want to be known. I. Really, social media think of it that way. Social, for most people, they think it's about me. They're online because they need something. They want something. Show me, sell me, explain to me. But in order to satisfy those people, your perspective needs to be it's about helping somebody else. It's about providing information to other people. And so that's what us, as people who are publishing content on social media, should have the perspective. We're trying to provide information to other people. You want to share high quality information. So, one of the goals we talked about a little earlier is where and how often you may promote. Should you write daily? I don't know. I can't tell you that that's right for you. Daily, weekly. Me, I write in my blog monthly. I think that's the right amount of time. But I always try and pick good topics. I want to put out a good quality, a good product. So that's what becomes important. And in any of your social media posts, and any place that you're posting information, do always put your website, direct people back to your website. Remember, it's the hub of your social media strategy. It's the hub of your activity. There are a bunch of platforms that are out there. Here are some of the most popular ones. This is from a magazine. Oh, it's actually online now. Content Marketing Institute. They put this out. It seems I don't know. I first saw this in 2016. The latest one is this one that I found from 2020. If you're looking for a B2B or business to business platform, if you're trying to promote to an audience of businesses and business people, these are the most effective platforms to be on. And LinkedIn is right there, right on the top. Twitter, at least as of 2020, still very high. This number in Twitter may be going down or changing a little bit because of the privatization of Twitter. I'm not going to get into a discussion of is it good or bad or anything about the privatization. I just don't want to go there. But Twitter, we're going to talk a little more later, is a strong platform. Facebook, of course, we'll talk a little bit more about as later as well. YouTube and Instagram, great platforms where you can post video and image content. And on the right side, you can see they've put some other categories as well. At least as of 2 years ago, TikTok was very low. TikTok's in the news, of course. It may change as well. I just don't have an opinion as to when or where that may happen. But again, from B2B perspective, TikTok is way down. The reason why is TikTok tends to be a personalization. If you want to read this article, when you download the slides, this is a live link. You see I'm hovering over it, it pops up. So when you download the slides, you can click on this and the link will work. And if you want to read it's a big article, you can read it. Now, if your audience tends to be consumer-based, retail-based, rather than business, here are the sites that tend to be, or the social media platforms that are biggest for B2C, the end user consumer. Facebook is right up there. Instagram and YouTube pop right up to the top as well. And the reason why, because that's what end user consumers like to be using. That's the platforms that they tend to be on as well. Okay. LinkedIn, still a tremendous platform, used a lot less by the B2C community. And again, this link is live. If you want to go to that article, you can as well. Oh, so there's our first intermission. So we'll take a breather or a quick break. But I'm certainly stopping here to make sure we have time for some questions if they've been piling up in your heads right now.
I have a question. I don't I don't have a website, and I know that's a huge issue. Um, the thing is that how much would something like that would you say cost to have somebody build? I don't need something elaborate or anything, but something that would have a blog on it, something that I can direct to Facebook that would I have a blog on Facebook, and if I wrote on Facebook, I would like the transfer right over to the website. So, if people wanted to go on there, they could see it too. How much would something like that cost, would you say, reasonably?
So um, Yeah, I'm trying in my mind's eye, imagine a basic website with not a lot of pages, except for maybe the number of blog posts that you write.
Yeah.
And if you hire somebody else to do it, a basic blog site could probably be $1,000 and more.
Oh boy.
Maybe at the very least, several $100s if it's a very simple design.
Yeah, I think I gotta go simple. I
Yeah.
gotta go
So,
simple.
but
Okay.
what you're going to want to do when you build the website, and the blog page on the website is a good idea, absolutely. You're going to want to make sure you have several other web pages there as well. For instance, like an about me type page, a contact us page, maybe a way to, here's how to buy my book. So you have to think about the things that you want to present. What's nice with a blog website is that you'll be able to update the content periodically, at the very least with each post. And Google and Bing, the biggest search engines, they like to see activity on a website. That's one of the criteria they use to start bringing the website up a little bit higher in the search result.
Okay.
And then
Also,
we're going to talk.
WordPress sites are very simple to construct. I don't think that anyone with very minimal technical skill could not produce a reasonable WordPress site. You just need a few visuals, and it's not really a big deal.
So the very basic stuff in WordPress probably is easy. Certainly, I work on WordPress sites, but WordPress, it's not drop and drag, so you do have a little bit of formatting and coding that you have to do. And then uh, if you start saying, also WordPress can get, you have to host it. You got to pay for the hosting. Depending on some of the features that you want, you then have to install plugins that are not part of the WordPress, but they're third parties. So you need to be a little bit comfortable using technology if you're going to go down the path of using WordPress.
Yeah.
The flip side is most websites are built in WordPress, about a third of them are.
Okay.
Now, there
Okay.
are other tools that are out there. One that I like that's completely free, and I've even found ways to build websites with this, is called Google Blogger. It's not the nicest looking website that you'll get, but it's just so simple to do. So it's completely free. Another would be like Wix, Weebly, Squarespace. You've probably seen commercials. And what's nice with those tools, it's got drop and drag. You can drag an image, you can drag tables, and a little bit easy to format.
Okay.
Yeah, and
I
it's
got a
funny. I guess
nephew that's a graphic designer. I think he's going to be getting a call.
there you go. At the very least, he'll make nice imagery for you. But he should be able.
Yeah,
I would think a graphic
I think I'm going
designer.
to call him.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's funny, well, in thinking about this, 2 days ago, I did a presentation for SCORE, which is the organization that helps small businesses, and it was website best practices. And so I think for the two of you, you could have attended that for free. I think they recorded it. I can put you in touch with Lisa, and maybe she can send you the recording to watch that as well. And actually,
That
if
would
you
be good.
go if you go later to my website, um, you'll see where I have this posted. You go back through my prior years, and I do have that topic. Um, I think on one of as a YouTube channel as well, so you may be able to find it.
Okay. Sounds
But
good.
yeah, a website is important, especially since it's all within your control. The look and feel, you can have it just right. If you do posts on a Facebook, nothing wrong with that. You'll have a big audience already built in or available to you, but you'll be stuck using their format because it's their tool.
The one problem, I do have a website for my, I was doing freelance art school teaching,
Okay.
and I don't get any hits on it at all.
Okay.
It's buried deep into the bowels of the internet. And I was going to probably wind up shutting it down anyway, because I don't really want to do that anymore.
Okay.
So, but how do I make the website So if somebody wanted to look up President Roosevelt, that will come up.
We're only going to touch on search engine optimization here. Um,
Okay.
and if we have time, I can go through that in more detail. So let's see how long it takes us to get
Okay.
through this. But I'll be happy to go through search engine optimization. But what search engine optimization essentially is, the search engine, which is like Google and Bing, those programs are called search engines. They search the
Right.
internet, and you
Right.
need them to know where your website is and who you are. So we
Right.
could talk about that. I
Okay.
seem to recall I used to have I mean, there's a lot of tech stuff in this presentation. I may have turned that off or taken a lot of it out, but if we have time later, I'll be happy
Okay.
to show those to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else before we move on? Well, we'll move on. And
I
so
like
you
your
may remember the good old days when movies had an intermission or shows, plays, right? So that's why I had the curtains. So let's talk about some of the social media sites that are out there. And this is not the be all end all. It may not be specific enough to your target audience. Again, this is an introductory program, but and your question a little bit earlier about, what are some of the Amazon services that are out there? This section is what will cover that as well. So certainly Amazon.com. They started as an online bookseller as Amazon.com. They're just known as Amazon right now. And here is a link. This, again, is a live link if you are not familiar with it. They offer several self-publishing services. So if you are very new to your publishing, you may want to use Amazon to help you with your publishing. Oops, wrong way. Sorry about that. You can publish to Kindle. And so it's basically a way of getting your book published as an ebook. I have not used this service myself. I can't tell you a whole lot about how to make it
I
work and how. Sorry?
I did.
Okay.
It it's very you have to change the format of your book to a Kindle to an EPUB. It was a nightmare, but I
Good.
got somebody. One thing I did do was, and I urge Jerry for you to do this, is to join groups on Facebook, authors, publishers. They have Kindle, not Kindle, Amazon publishing groups there, and they are tremendous help. Tremendous.
Good.
They help me so
Okay.
much with formatting and everything. So, and they answer questions all the time. So if you can
But
join them,
like the information I found, publishing the Kindle, even though it's a bit of work, it was a free service.
yes,
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I
yeah,
had learned as well. They have what's called publish to print. So it's like a print on demand type of service. So you can publish and distribute your book worldwide. Pricing is based on the number of pages. I don't know what the exact pricing is, but you can find that as well. And they also publish the audio. So you can create an audio book, and it's with this ACX format. And there's different royalty and pricing options. You will have to check to see what makes the most sense for you. But these are ways of getting your writing, your publications out there through Amazon. And I mentioned publish to Kindle. Kindle is their e-reader, so you can have to see if that makes sense for you. Of course, Amazon is a tremendous service, so not a bad place to be. They also have Author Central, which is an Amazon place where you basically have your own homepage, almost like your own website, right in Amazon. So you can create that. You can have your About Me section, your biography, photos, blog posts, a video. There's a lot you can do there. And of course, if you have links to your books that you're selling, you can do that as well. So if you've never seen this before, go to Amazon, search for one of your favorite, a book from one of your favorite authors. When that page comes up, you can click on the author's name, and their author's page will come up, their Author Central page. It will keep track of your Amazon sales. You'll get trends and things like that, so that will be helpful. They also have staff who can help you by answering questions. So they do have email and phone support as well. So you may want to use it as a resource at the very least from that perspective. Audible. So it's a company that Amazon acquired. It wasn't originally an Amazon company, but you basically have audiobooks or spoken entertainment. So you can promote and sell product through them as well. The users can listen to digital audio books, radio programs, TV programs. There's a whole library. Some magazines and newspapers get converted. Of course, you can for your own writing as well. Then you can sell that on Amazon. So once you have your Amazon page and account set up as well. This is the latest pricing that I have. So you can try it for 30 days for free, see if it makes sense. Try it for 30 days to learn it, to see if it'll be easy and sensible for you to use. They do have a monthly price. I believe that price is still current. But as an Amazon Prime members sometimes get discounts, so you can see if that makes sense as well. Goodreads, a tremendous website for people that are just, well, enjoy reading. It is now owned by Amazon. They bought it about 4 years ago. Well, a little bit less than 4 years ago, but it's now owned by Amazon. As the last number I found was July 2019, 90 million book lovers have accounts on this as well. And so they want to help people share books and find books. And what you kind of do is you create your quote unquote bookshelf, and that's your personal list of books. You can write reviews, you can give ratings. As you start creating a circle of friends, you can see what they're reading. You can make recommendations to them as well. And so if you can get your information published on there, you can promote your information through pay-per-click advertising. And so pay-per-click basically means you create an ad, and if somebody clicks on it, you pay a fee. I don't know what the fees are at Goodreads and how it works. I can tell you a little bit more about how Google Ads works. I don't recall that we'll be talking about that here. That's more of a website topic, but if I have the slides here, we'll talk about it. But pay-per-click is a way. The ad is free until somebody clicks on it. So you're kind of paying for the privilege of someone actually coming to your site. It's like a qualified lead. So Goodreads, another good place to be. Issue. And again, these are live links. The Goodreads at the top, the issue right here. And again, they're connecting content to people. That's what they call their mission statement. And again, it's a publishing platform for all different manner of writing. Magazines, newspapers, portfolios. They also have DIY guides, corporate literature sometimes goes there as well. It's a means of publishing that type of information. So a lot of different categories of information that's there. As part of being a member, they give you different publishing tools to help get your content online with them as well. And they do have a free subscription, but the free subscription has unlimited uploading. You can upload as much as you want, but the files are limited. So you can't upload, War and Peace, something like that. I don't remember what the limitations are, but it's probably the equivalent of a couple of hundred pages. But also the free subscription has ads that'll pop up. Or $19 a month, they get rid of the ads and they get rid of the limitation on file sizes of your uploads. Scribed, another one, again, a live link that's there. And they have apps. They have the apps for the computer and the phone. So you can, as a Scribed user, be really available to read anywhere on any device. They have a catalog of, last I counted or got from them, was over 500,000 different audio and print books. I'm sure that's growing every day. And so their members, they tell us, are typically a group of different authors, publishers, and readers. So could be your audience is among them. They do have a limitation of how big you can publish. So, but it's not a terrible limitation. So you can publish documents up to 100 megabytes. So that's several thousand pages. But if you want the unlimited subscription, $9.99 a month. So another website to use. So these are some websites where you can publish and promote some of your work, or where you can be active promoting. Kindle Unlimited, it's their ebook site. You can get published there as well. Over 1 million ebooks. Once you're a member, unlimited reading and listening on any device. I know I've got the Kindle app on my smartphone. That's the one I have here. I don't use it on my computer. And again, because it's on your phone, on any device, a tablet as well, people can download books and read them anywhere that they want. After a 30-day free trial, $9.99 a month. There is an offer that's out there. You can buy 6 months or subscribe for 6 months for $30. I think that's still an active offer, so you can take a look. I'm sure they have specials all the time. So you may want to publish and promote on the Kindle Unlimited. And then there are all those big websites, social media sites that you know of. Certainly Facebook. Bottom line is Facebook is the largest social media platform on the planet. As of the end of last year, they had close to 3 billion users. To put that in perspective, there are 8 billion people in the world. So they've got 3 billion of them as users of Facebook. 71% of US residents have a Facebook account. So there's a good chance if you want to reach over 200 million people in the United States, you'll be able to do so through Facebook. Doesn't mean that they're all very active. You'll have to put your content in the places where they're going to be. But it's certainly wonderful as a social media site for reaching a consumer-based audience. Facebook tends to be not where the kids hang out, not as much where businesses hang out, but consumer-based businesses do spend a lot of time on Facebook because they know consumers are on there. So if that's your audience as well, that could be helpful. Another big one is LinkedIn. They tend to be really a B2B audience. And as of the end of the year, over 875 million users in 200 countries. You can publish chunks of your book and content there as well. You can join. LinkedIn has similar Facebook groups that you can join. So go look for groups that are in your area of interest, your topical area that you're promoting. And you post in there, and like Facebook, you could direct them to your website or to your Amazon Author Central page. You could do that as well. Twitter. Twitter is a great website for informing people of what's going on. Now, the little bit of a challenge with Twitter, of course, is you are limited to 240 characters. That's what's a tweet. So what tends to happen with Twitter is you don't write a post. If you have a post somewhere, maybe on Facebook or your blog site, what you tweet about is that you have a post and you add the link and direct them to your website or to your Facebook page. They have close to 400 million users, but what they promote is that they have 206 million active daily users. And that number has actually come down a little bit since the last year or so. And what Twitter used to do was they used to weed out users that had phony content and such. Now I think what's happened, unfortunately, is it's become a little bit politicized, and some people have been turned away from it. So that's all I want to say about the current state of the management of Twitter. Little I've read on it, I just don't think that part is terribly relevant. But if your audience is on Twitter, you should be on Twitter as well. Blogging. So you mentioned earlier that you'd like a blog website. And so what a blog basically is, it can either be its own website or it can be a page on a website. That's what I've done. I've got a blog page with my 100 plus posts. And so you write these articles, and they're called posts. That's just the term that they use. And they generally are not, it's not a big writing. You tend to write a few short paragraphs, several paragraphs. I think it should be something more like your opinion, your observation, or maybe teaching something. if you have something really hot and new, blogging tends not to be for that. Something hot and new, find an industry journal or publish your own book. I had one client when she wrote a book on her website on some of her posts, she put snippets of her book. So your posts may be about that as well. It could be, hey, did you know you're right about this? Read my book to learn more. So you could do snippets. So post it on your own site. If you don't have a blog site, if you don't want to maintain a blog site, it's not hard to do. Find someone else who does within a site that is matching your audience. Right. So you were mentioning earlier, Barbara, that you're writing history about Franklin Delano Roosevelt and Eleanor Roosevelt. So you'll want to be more on history sites, presidential sites, that type of thing. If you found a really wonderful blog about gardening, that's probably not the place you want to be. I mean, considering it was a fun discussion. You're writing from the perspective of the Roosevelt's dog. I guess certain pet websites may be of interest as well.
Yes, I've done that. Right now I'm looking to find things like Scottish Terrier dog shows. There's American political memorabilia. There people that collect political memorabilia. I was thinking about renting a table at one of those places.
Well, interesting marketing
Dog
idea.
show,
Sure.
yeah, dog shows. I do. The Roosevelts are up in Hyde Park are very interested in
Oh,
having me
okay.
come up there and do a presentation. So right now that's where I'm at. It's just that when I'm on my blog, um, when I'm writing, I try. I might be posting too much. I post every day or every other day, but I ask questions and then everybody likes it. I got 100 people following this.
Oh, that's good.
And I'll ask a question and then no one answers it. My sister will answer it, but
Well, that's good.
I said, but no one answers. They just like it.
Well,
Um,
and so likes are a means of recognizing that you're getting attention. Some people are
right,
afraid to write, because if they
right,
wrote something, they can say they didn't say something, but they can't say they didn't write it. So some people are
right,
afraid. And so, but
right.
likes and that sort of thing, a great way, a great measure to know that there is an audience that appreciates. And
One thing I
from
did find too,
pardon?
I said one thing I did find that if I get too technical with the history, there's not as many likes. But if I put that dog picture up there, there's like 50 likes.
And that goes to my
You know,
comment earlier about knowing your audience. And do you
right,
write technical and deep, or do you not? And then you have to match to your audience. So, what we're not getting into here because it's a little bit beyond social media is a lot of like email marketing and other things as well. And I can, at the end, if you've got questions about it, I'm happy to talk with you about it. It's a service that I offer as
okay.
well. We could talk about that. But the other thing, blogging, it's used for demonstrating your interest, your expertise, and your passion. So when it comes to you as authors, your expertise and your passion really can come through in what you write and blog about. So it's a great tool, an opportunity for a great tool, and you organically and slowly build an audience. We're going to talk a little bit more about tracking performance. Likes is a great way of finding that you're being tracked positively. Oh, another intermission point. So,
Okay.
any other questions
No,
while
I'm
we're right
taking a
here?
break.
Taking a break from taking. Okay, this is a break, and you'll take a break. So, and I'm sorry, Barb. Right, taking a break. Are you stepping away for a moment?
Yeah, just for a sec.
Okay, good. I'll give her. This is probably the point in the presentation that I should start playing Jeopardy music. So, yep, and that's part of what the intermission is for. Of course, if someone does need to step away for a moment, we can accommodate that right here as well. And I think it's Jerry. You're still there?
Okay, I'm here.
Yes, I
Uh,
am.
one
Good.
one thing, David and Jerry, I wanted to tell you, because I do have experience with Amazon. Um, you just they're very, very picky about book covers. And if you're going to use pictures, make sure you got the copyright or you're using public domain pictures. Because because I do know this, that Getty sells rights to pictures that they don't even own.
Yeah.
And that happened with me with the cover of my book. I saw it on there, and I was going to buy the rights to the book for the right to the picture for $500. And I was talking to one of the archivists at the Roosevelt Library, and she said, "Come to us and see if that picture's public domain." So I
Okay.
did, and it was public domain, and I do have proof it's public domain.
Yeah.
So if they come after me with a cease and assist, I'm going to tell them, listen, you can go talk to the Roosevelts. It's there. It's public domain. And I know who took the picture.
Yeah. And
So,
they will not only come with you with a cease and desist. I had lost a client. I was working on working with someone who wanted to hire me to do some website development work for them. And up until that time, it's a husband and wife business. The husband was running the website. He found a nice picture. He downloaded it. He put it on the website. And a couple of weeks after, right when I'm negotiating with them about helping them with the website, they got hit with a lawsuit and they could not afford to hire me. They had to, pay the photographer. And there
wow,
are people that do put pictures out there specifically to find them to see if you've posted them illegally, and they'll sue you. And that's the way they make a living. So yeah,
right,
you've done it through the public domain or acquiring it through the proper channels. Of course, you could also use original pictures and artwork that are your own, or you said you have the family member who's the graphic designer. You can hire them to draw for you, and then it'll be
right.
yours. Yep.
Well, I do on my blog, I do post pictures that are probably not public domain. And I'm telling you, when you go on blogs for actors and stuff like that, they're constantly putting pictures from Getty and stuff on there and don't even cite them. So I'm not
Well,
worried so much
yeah,
about that.
Getty, Getty, and a lot of the other sites do allow you to publish, as long as you acquire them properly, do allow you to publish them on your website. That's not a problem.
Hmm.
So, that's not as much of an issue. But, when you're talking about printing as well, yeah, speak with someone who's a publishing consultant or an attorney. Make sure you have it done just properly, as you did with the
Oh yeah, I
Hyde
made
Park.
sure that there was a lawsuit filed against Getty for somebody that published pictures from the Great Depression, which are
Oh,
public domain pictures. And Getty tried to sue that person, and she said, these are public domain pictures, and she had the proof that it was. It's in the courts, but they're going to lose. They will
yeah.
lose.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Right. Yep. I understand. Good. Let's move along a little bit.
Okay.
So, Barbara, this was maybe of interest to you. This is the quick version of my website discussion that I had from the other day about websites. For one thing, your website, you want it to be what's called mobile or responsive. You want the website to be not only look nice on a big monitor that you have maybe for a desktop computer, but it needs to be able to adjust to different size screens, and not just a small wide monitor, but a phone works differently than a tablet, works differently than a laptop, and so forth. And so the website, it knows what type of device it runs on, and so therefore it will adjust the display of the information according to the device. Let's say you had 3 or 4 pictures horizontally across on a wide screen. On a phone, which is more vertical, it might squeeze them together and put them vertically on top of each other. It adjusts automatically. If you don't do that, that widescreen website squinches way down and becomes worse than an eye chart. So you want to make sure it can run on all devices. It's really very easy. When you speak with a web programmer, you use any of these tools like Squarespace or Wix or Weebly, any of them out there. You pick a template, which is the basic design. Almost all of them nowadays are mobile friendly. So it used to be that web programmers could charge extra for that because they had the right programming. Now it's all built in anyway. And also, 25% of millennials, who right now are the age group of 27 to 42, typically don't use a larger format computer. They spend most of their time, if not all their time, on a phone or a tablet, a mobile device, rather than a computer. If your audience is going to be in this age group, you're going to want to absolutely make sure it's mobile-friendly website. Your content should be descriptive, certainly, but it shouldn't be too wordy. Don't cram a lot of words into web pages, especially not on the home page, or if you have a menu with a page below each. Those pages should not be overly wordy. If you have a hierarchy of a menu with menu items below and menu items below and menu items below, the further down the hierarchy, the more you can put on the page, because by then your readers, your website visitors are kind of vested in the topic. They're willing to read it, but certainly at the higher level pages, don't word stuff. You also want to have, and this may be helpful when your question earlier about how does my website get found, you need to know the words and phrases that people would use to search for your subject area. Not the words that you think they should use, the words that they do use. And so what happens is you do put them in your website. You don't overstuff them. So if if you have a word or phrase, don't make every third or fourth word that word or phrase to stuff it in there. If you have a white background, don't stuff it with white. Only about 3 or 4% of the words on any one web page should be those keywords. But what happens is Google and the search engines, they read every web page eventually. And they'll start to make sense of the content in the context of search terms that they have. And so when people search, they'll begin to say, oh, I need to bring this website up. So if your content doesn't really match what other people are looking for, it makes it hard for your website to be found. You do want to add images and video for interest. Human beings, we are visual animals. We do respond to vision. That's why we have a peripheral vision, because we do respond to moving items. So images and video do hold our interest. Also, you want to add links on your website that go to other websites. And it may be counterintuitive, because you may say, I don't want people to leave my website. And that's not the reason. The reason is if you have links on your website that link to other websites that are similar to yours, then what happens is Google understands the relevancy of the content of your website because they know about the other websites as well. So they start to build this association. So for instance, using Barbara again, if you have links on your website to the Hyde Park Theodore Franklin Delano Roosevelt's home and library, links to that website, that may be very helpful. Links to the Wikipedia page about Franklin Delano Roosevelt may be very helpful. Those types of links. Also, when you link to other websites, you can have it open a fresh tab, so your website's left alone. It's not being replaced, so that's helpful as well. And your web content among your pages must tell a consistent story. Now, by that I mean not literally a story, but the content must be similar. If you have interests in Franklin Delano Roosevelt, but you also have interests in gardening, and you also have interests in tax planning, I would not have 3 different web pages in one website. The content is too different from each other. It confuses Google. Instead, all the pages should be about the same thing. And if you really want to have information about gardening, have a separate website that talks about your gardening. Don't put it in your, other than a sentence or two in your About Me, just don't put a lot of content there. Keep the content consistent. And that will help you improve the opportunity to be found, your website to be found in search engine searches. Now that you've got people visiting your website, you do want these things called calls to action. You want to engage people. And so you can have some sort of image or text that prompts them to do something. It could be on your social media site or your website, and takes a desired action. Sign up for this, our newsletter. Download the first chapter of my book, that kind of thing. And when you start engaging people, it improves the effectiveness of your website or of your social media posts as well, or your blog posts. You engage people. Now, e-commerce may also be something that's of interest. E-commerce is a type of website used for selling things. You may want to use e-commerce as a strategy, as a digital strategy for selling your book and your writings. And basically what e-commerce is the purchase and sale of products or services via the internet. And that's what it is. And it's known as online shopping. And what's nice is there's no barrier of time or distance. So if you live in central New Jersey, someone in California may find your book and order it at 3 a.m. You don't have to be awake, and you don't have to go to California to sell it to them. So it really can be very helpful to you. There are a bunch of different e-commerce tools. You build an e-commerce website, or on your website, you can build e-commerce pages. One place you can buy and sell online is eBay. It used to primarily be an auction website where people bid on stuff and the highest bidder won. But eBay has almost entirely shifted to really e-commerce, just buying, purchase now, buy it now. Amazon. Amazon already is the largest e-reseller. So they sell a tremendous amount of product, but they also have over 1 million independent stores, sellers that are not Amazon, that sell product. And this is an example. If you see the circle with the arrow, it says by Matt's Factory. And this is actually a doormat. I bought 2 of these for outside my doors. And I bought it not from Amazon. It was on Amazon, but it was not sold by Amazon. And I bought it from this company, Matt's Factory. I bought these. What's nice is with the e-commerce tools like Amazon and eBay, they already have things like places to put customer reviews and things like that. It's all built in. So you may be able to use Amazon's for that as well. You can certainly sell on your own website, have some sort of buy it now or PayPal or something like that. You can get other e-commerce tools so that your website looks really like an e-commerce store, or you can keep it as simple as like this website that has some buttons. And then there are these platforms where you build websites, but it's meant to be an e-commerce website. Shopify is the biggest that's out there. They're about $30 a month, but you can put multiple items and things there. BigCommerce, Volution are 2 others that I know of. I've never used those before, but Shopify is the biggest. But e-commerce may be a way for you to sell and be part of your digital strategy. Some best practices: make sure you make a good first impression, get some good copy, good images. And this is really true with almost anything on social media. Make sure it displays on mobile devices, so it's the kind that's going to adjust well. And if you have the opportunity to have customer reviews, people have likes, like on your blog post, could be perfect as well. Make it easy for them to check out and purchase quickly. I know one thing that I find very frustrating, and I see this on Best Buy, the electronics store. They'll show a picture, let's say the television that I'm shopping for, and they'll say, put it in the cart to see the price. I'm going halfway through the checkout process in order to see the price. And then if I don't like the price, I got to remove it from my cart. Just show them the price. Make it easy for them to make a decision right away. Also, very important with any kind of e-commerce or any kind of social media marketing that you're selling, make sure you can fulfill those orders. So if you all of a sudden publish on your website, on your social media sites, on these e-commerce sites, and you're selling a book and many orders come in, if you don't have enough inventory, if you don't have boxes, if you don't have a scale to weigh it, that kind of stuff, it'll delay the selling. That'll be a big turnoff to people. So make sure you have a means of fulfilling. So which social media platform is best for you? And it's funny, when I taught this class in person, it's usually a question people just raise their hand and ask me, not as much in the virtual for some reason. You can't be on every social media platform. There are just too many that are out there. And you'd spend too much time. Of course, if you become big and successful, you can hire someone to do your social media for you. So you need to determine the social media platform or platforms that's most relevant to your audience. What's the genre that you're writing in? Does your audience want to read that? Where does your audience go? Does your audience go to Facebook? Do they go to Twitter? Are they on YouTube? Where do they go? Also, find complementary authors and books. So similar topic, similar genre, see where they hang out because they figured this out already. If they're successful, they figured it out. So if you find another author who's publishing similar content to yours and they're on Facebook, then you should be on Facebook because they figured out that's where the audience is. Some people say that's counterintuitive. I want to stand apart from them. I get it. But the thing is, that's where the audience is. That's why the competitors are there. That's why you need to be there. What'll differentiate you is the quality of your content. And you'll experiment, you'll measure and adjust. A good way to measure those clicks and those likes, those sorts of things. And it does take a little time to get some results. It's a bit of an organic process. Find the things that are working well for you. The things that are working well, stick with it. Things that are not, change up. If you're on a particular site not getting a lot of attention, maybe move on to another site. If you're writing in a certain voice and it's working for you, fine. If it's not working for you, write in a slightly different voice. So, what to do next? Pick a tool. Find one tool. There's way too much out there. It's like the 1,000-pound elephant. How do you eat a 1,000-pound elephant? One bite at a time. So find that one tool that will be good for you, good for your audience. Sign up, create an account. In most cases, the accounts are free, at least free to get started. And maybe get some assistance. Ask other people. Find webinars. Find YouTube videos or Instagram videos and such. Ask people that you know. Find classes that are specific for that product and see if you can learn how to use it. So get some help from other people so you can become proficient a little bit faster. And then get started and work with that one. Work with that one until you're really comfortable. Then you can pick a second one. Don't pick a second one right away. Let's talk about the analytics. In other words, you want to know how your social media is doing, how your posts are doing, how your activity online is doing, how successful you are. And so there are analytical tools that are out there that can help you measure and monitor your results. So you get to monitor the performance. If you make changes, you can monitor the performance before and then after the change and make comparisons. Did the change you make work? Did it make it better? Did it make it worse? If it made it better, leave it alone. If it made it worse, roll back to what you used to do. So you want to see the effectiveness of your social media campaigns, your social media programs. See what's working well. So Barbara, you mentioned you write daily. If you're getting good views, it's probably right. You could try switching to weekly. See if the numbers are going up or going down. Maybe people will like it more if it's a little bit less. Maybe they'll like it less. Now, these analytics, they can't tell you what to do. They can only tell you what's been happening. They can give you information. You have to decide what to do with the information, where to focus your time or where to focus any investment that's needed as well. Am I achieving my social media goals? Am I improving the links and the likes if that's what I want? Am I improving the sales? Whatever your goals are they working well? If not, you could focus some time, make some other decisions. Okay. So one tool which helps you understand the activity on your website is a tool called Google Analytics. It is completely free. And this is a great tool for a couple of reasons. One is it will tell you where your website visitors are coming from. Google won't tell you about your social media, but it will tell you about your website. And the reason why is in a Google account, you go to the analytics page and they give you a code and you assign that code to your website. You can't assign the code to Facebook. So it doesn't help you social media. You can use Facebook's own internal analytics there. You can see right down to the zip code where they're coming from. You can't see the individual. You can't find out who specifically is looking, but you could see, are they from Princeton? Are they from Mercer County? Are they from New Jersey? Are they from the East Coast? Are they from the United States? So you can see different views. Which pages are they looking at? Which pages are they spending more time? Which pages are they spending less time? So you get a lot of information. Google can't tell you what to do with the information, but what happens is you can then try different things based on the information you see to see if the results are different. Most of the social media sites have their own analytics as well. The basic ones are things like the clicks, the likes, the follows, the comments. Those are all ways to find out for you to validate that you are getting attention and you're getting views, or what they call impressions. How many people are actually looking at your content? Very important stuff. You have to decide what to do with the information, and then adjust your social media strategy based on the information you're finding in these different analytical tools. Okay, so to sum up, now the SEO apparently is not here, but if you want, if we have a few minutes later, I'll go to those SEO slides if that's something you want to hang around for. But as we wrap up, social media, using the internet to share information among people. That's what social media is. Remember, I found that nice definition, but boiled it down to this. It includes your website, it includes your e-commerce, your social media platforms, all sorts of things. You want to monitor and tweak your tool use, your performance, the performance of your content, what you're posting. And get started with just one. And I remember Barbara telling me you're in Facebook. Maybe that's the one you want to put a little bit more time in, or if you're really good at it, and also you have your blog, maybe it's time to add another one, or maybe just put a little bit more time and effort into the ones that you have.
Okay.
So again, this is a high level to talk about and introduce you to some of the topics. If you want to download this PowerPoint slide deck, you can do so right here. This is my website, PrincetonTechAdvisors.com. PrincetonTechAdvisors.com. Now, there's no arrows on my website, but just showing you, go to the workshops menu, and then at the bottom, recently offered programs. And what will be there is the programs that I've done so far this year. There are several topics that are there. I did a presentation on the website design. I don't have the video on the most recent one. It wasn't provided to me. It wasn't done on my GoToMeeting. It was another organization. But you can download the slide deck. And then there are links on that to go to prior years, and you can go through any of them and all of them. And on some of the presentations, there are links for videos. So workshops, recently offered programs. So, and then again, PrincetonTechAdvisors.com. Any questions about what we talked about so far?
Got a lot of work to do. Got to get
And
a website.
but again, approach it as if all you see in front of you is I have a lot of work to do, it can be a little overwhelming. You might just want to write some of these things down on a pad of paper or a document. And once you see it in front of you, you can then prioritize the ones that you want to do first. Sometimes it's easier to manage something overwhelming when you write it down, see it in front of you rather than just keep it in your head.
Yeah. Okay.
So, anything I need to revisit or talk about again or clarify?
No, I'm good, Dave.
I'm good too.
So that's fine. I'm glad. If you want, we can talk about the search engine optimization in a little bit more detail. On the other hand,
Okay.
hearing that you got a lot of work to do, maybe it's like Thanksgiving. It's time to push away from the table and digest a little bit. So I've got the time. I'm happy to go over it if you'd like. It's probably 4 or 5 slides, a little
Why
bit
not?
technical, but if
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
if you're overwhelmed, I don't want to overwhelm you.
Not
It's
overwhelmed.
okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so let me get to that slide deck. So this was for score. Okay. So this was a presentation. I've done this presentation for a number of years. Usually I've done it for SCORE a few times and a couple of small business groups, um, groups that are for networking groups that are for small businesses, and talked about search engine optimization. I don't remember if I've ever included it before in the author's presentation. Um, Actually, I may have the first time. But anyway, happy to talk about it here. So search engine optimization, again, the programs that find websites like Google, Bing, Yahoo, and others, those are called search engines. Those apps are called search engines. And the process of search engine optimization is optimizing your website and even your social media presence so that the search engines can more easily understand your content and display it when someone's looking for it based on the entry they put in the keyword search. So some people think this is from that movie, of course, Field of Dreams. As soon as I put my website content out there, people will see it. If they build it, they will come. And that's not the case. And the reason why is Google, well, we'll talk about Google because most website searches are done on Google. But Google doesn't know about your content right away. It has to learn about it. You have to earn that. And so what happens is if you're not found and people are searching for someone like you, others are found, your competitors, other authors who have similar content, but you're not found. So if your website is not found, it's kind of irrelevant. And that's unfortunate, similar to what we mentioned before about social media presence. You need to be online to be relevant. So what is it? It's the process of gaining visibility in an organic way. You're not paying for it. It happens kind of naturally in the search engine results, and you want to drive traffic to your website or to pages on your website. Now, organic, as opposed to if you paid to be found on Google, that's not organic. Okay. And from an SEO perspective, there are two primary components of search engine optimization. One is called on-page SEO, and the other is called off-page SEO. And so let's first talk about how search engines work at a high level. And then from there, we can talk about the on and off page SEO. And there's a misconception. Once you enter a search term or word in that box where you're searching for something, people mistakenly think that Google or Bing or the others instantly go out to the internet, look at every website, every web server, every company that has a website, to find every web page, read every word to see if it can find a match, and then instantly return results. That's not what websites do. Search engines do. If it would, then it would instantly find your most recent content. But that's not the way the search engines work. The way the search engines work is night and day. They're running all the time, even if you're not searching. They have little programs called bots or web crawlers. And what they do is they're stupid programs. They just go out, they find websites, and they read the website and they send stuff back to the Google database or the Bing database, whichever they're working for. And now Google, again, has this big, massive database with all sorts of words and terms that are associated with you and others. And it's churning night and day to make sense out of it, to understand how these terms are relevant to anything else that they have. So what you're doing when you're searching through Google is you're actually searching the database. So you need to be found in their database in a way that Google understands the relevancy to the terms that are being entered. So one way is what's called on-page SEO. And if you have a website, you have web pages. And so on-page is on your web pages. And you have your page content. So you want to have keywords that are relevant to your content, that are relevant to the way people search for your content. And that we talked a little bit about that earlier. About 3 or 4% of the keywords or the words on any page should match the keywords that people are going to use to search for your content. Not what you think they should use, but what they actually do use. Now, that Google Analytics tool that we talked about earlier, it actually has a module where you could say, this is what I want to search for. I'm sorry, the Google Ads tool, not Google Analytics. Google Ads has a tool built into it where you can find the search terms people use. And if you put in a search term, it'll give you other choices. Right? So that's what you'll want to do. Also, there are some hidden fields in your website. One is called the page title. It's not the wording at the top of your web page, although it sounds like it, but inside it's got some hidden things. And one is called the page title. And if you don't know these hidden fields are there, you leave them blank, or you leave them with whatever the tool came with. So you're going to want to make sure that you replace them. So as you edit the pages in these tools, make sure that you can find the section to add tags. They don't have to be full sentences, but they do have to be spelled correctly. They don't need to be grammatically correct, but you have to have good words that match. Also, every web page on your website actually has its own web address. So if you go to the technology services page, it might look like this. So you're going to want to make sure that when you build your web pages, you can actually assign the URL or the web address. Make sure you assign a web address that makes sense. Now, in your case, it might be like about me. That makes sense. But you can also say about me, Franklin Delano Roosevelt's dog. You can put these other long words in there, and that's fine. Most people don't even look at web addresses, but Google does. And if you start using, keywords in addition to what the page is, but kind of about the website, it reinforces to Google just what your website is. Another hidden field are these things called meta descriptions. You could put a paragraph in there, but keep it under 156 characters. You don't have to write grammatically correct sentences, but you do have to have correctly spelled words. And Google will read this. The other search engines will as well. So now what happens is Google reads your page content. Google reads these hidden fields and begins to have its aha moment of what your website and web page is about. Another hidden field, since you mentioned images before, are alt tags or image tags. You may remember the old days when you used to take pictures with a camera and printed the picture out, or you sent the film out and a couple days later you picked up the film, the pictures. On the back of the picture, you might have written what the picture is. And then you put that in a picture album. So you might revisit your photo album from, 20, 30 years ago, open up the album, take the picture out, and you'll say, oh, summer vacation at the lake, and now you'll have a memory. Image tags are hidden fields in the images that tell that where you can put keywords. Now, if you get pictures from Getty and some of these other sites, and assuming that it's all done above board and it's all legitimate, a lot of those images, public domain images, come with their own alt tags. And it may have nothing to do with your website. So you may have an alt tag of a Scottish Terrier, and it might say a dog or a black dog. That's not as helpful as the name of the dog or the name of your website or other information. So change the alt tags as well from the stock photos. The off-page SEO is not on your website. It's web pages that are not on or off your website. Other websites. Remember, earlier I said have links on your website to other websites. Well, you may want to contact some people that have similar websites as yours and ask them to link back to your site. That's called cross-linking. You link to their site, they link to yours. And what happens when Google starts seeing that there are other websites connected to yours, it kind of says, oh, other people think highly of this website because they're referencing it. So what most important, link building or cross-linking. The easiest thing for you to do. It's hard for you to write content on other people's websites and reference back to yourself, but linking is one that usually can get a little bit of traction. You can also put those on your social media sites. All your social media sites, every post that you write in social media should link back to your website. Google will begin to see these and begin to make sense of it. So start with the on-page SEO. It's your website. It's in your control. And if you're not the web programmer, get your web programmer to do the work for you. Give them a little bit of direction and they'll make the changes that you need. And then you can work on the off-page SEO, the other people that have other sites, maybe other industries. Barbara, you may contact the museum, the library, the Franklin Delano Roosevelt Library, see if they put a link on their site to yours, that kind of stuff. Get them talking about you. So you want to get that cross-linking done. Okay? So at a high level, because we could do a whole hour or more on search engine optimization, this is what search engine optimization would be able to help you with, or how to help search engine optimization. Was that enough of an introduction for you?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine for me as well.
Okay. Yeah. It's a little bit of a technical topic. There are people that specialize in this stuff. I used to work with a partner, so I don't offer that as a service any longer to my clients. The partner that I had no longer does that, and I've just decided not to offer it any longer. But it can be incredibly powerful, and we've helped a couple of clients through my partner improve. Okay?
Okay.
All
Sounds
right.
good.
Any other questions or anything on the search engine optimization before we wrap up?
No, I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay. So thank you very much.